Hi guys, so Nadine Dorries has finally resigned. It took long enough. In her resignation letter, which is frankly too long to read, she defends Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and talks about their taking down by sinister forces. She also attacks the current Prime Minister, who she claims has thrown the 2019 manifesto in the bin and runs a zombie government. She rightly claims that he was not elected, but also says that it will be his fault if up to 200 MPs lose their seats at the next general election. Brexit, something she continues to defend, gets a mention too, where she claims that the current government isn't taking advantage of the benefits of being out and attacks the Windsor Framework, describing it as a dead duck brought into existence to benefit a group of MPs. The letter was a stream of consciousness from a deranged individual. But at its core, it's from a Boris Johnson fan who feels that both her and the former Prime Minister have been wronged. But Nadine wasn't finished. She gave this interview to the Daily Mail.
It didn't need to be this way. It didn't need to be this way.
In June, you said you would resign with immediate effect. Why has it taken until the end of August for you to do so?
Well, there are a number of things I wanted to do. One, as you know, was to obtain a kind of paper trail around the conversations that took place over my exit from Parliament. And the reason why is because I informed the Cabinet Secretary, Simon Case, of my intention to exit Parliament back in July 2022. So it was always my intention to leave initially, but I became under sustained pressure from members of the Cabinet, backbenchers, senior members of my own local party and association. In fact, it became quite intense, the pressure not to go and to stay until the general election and not to put the party through another damaging by-election. But as you know, I started writing a book into what happened to Boris Johnson and to Liz Truss, having been first-hand and witnessed what happened to them both. I started kind of doing my own investigation, and it became quite apparent to me then that I couldn't remain as either a backbencher, a minister or an MP, knowing what I knew and being the author of a book which was about to expose a democratic corruption at the heart of the Conservative Party. So there was no one issue. I had these things that I was juggling, people begging me not to cause a by-election, particularly following the two disastrous losses and narrow hold that we've recently just had. The paper trail that I was asking for surrounding conversations, because I began the conversations about my exit back in July 2022. And then the knowledge I was acquiring writing this book.
Okay, so this makes no sense, but then this is Nadine Dorries. The reason I didn't leave immediately was because people were asking me not to. But the original question was, why did it take so long for you to resign? Because you just resigned recently. Like, you were talking about resigning and now you have officially resigned. Why did it take so long? And her answer is, well, people were asking me not to resign, and I'm writing a book at the moment about corruption within the Conservative Party. Now, if that were all true, it still doesn't excuse the fact that you haven't been representing your constituents. She's been sitting on her arse over the last number of months, and she's not been representing her constituents. Her constituents have been complaining about this. There have been a number of interviews with people on the street. Where is Nadine Dorries? And they're like, I don't know. We haven't seen sight of her for ages. And I think it was sometime in 2022 when she actually spoke last in Parliament. Like, her response is, I'm writing a book. No, your job is not to write books. Your job is to represent your constituents. Now, she's angry because a promise was made by Boris Johnson and that promise has not been upheld. It's not been respected. Get in a queue. There's a long queue of people who've been waiting for promises that Boris Johnson has made. Now, this saga is finally coming to an end, but what does the future hold? Because according to opinion from the 1st of July, the Labour Party are likely to win the seat. So this is going to be another embarrassment for Rishi Sunak. He'll be happy to see her gone. She's a thorn in his side. She's just, a Boris Johnson fan who's been, still there at the concert, even though Johnson and his section of the party have gone home. She's still there screaming his name. She had a majority in 2019 of 24,664. So that's a massive majority that's likely to be lost. There's no guarantee that Labour will win the seat, but it seems that both the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats have ruled out a pact, but it's possible that they are doing something behind the scenes. It's unlikely that the Liberal Democrats will win the seat. As we saw at the last election, Labour came second here. But it depends on what happens between the Liberal Democrats and the Labour Party. But if Rishi Sunak does lose it, it will be an embarrassment for a few days. But I think in the long term, he'll be happy to see her gone. But before we finish, I just wanted to show you this clip with Nadine Dorries at a select committee some years ago.
I would argue that to say that just because Channel 4 has been established as a public service broadcaster and just because it's in receipt of public money, we should never kind of audit the future of Channel 4, and we should never evaluate how Channel 4 looks in the future and whether or not it's a sustainable and viable model. It's quite right that the government should do that.
But Channel 4 is not like the BBC. It's not in receipt of licence fee money. It makes its money from commercial operations. And
so, although it's, but...
Oh, goodness. Goodbye, Nadine. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.